Just letting you know, this is only my spoiler first impressions of the episode. Check my pinned comment for a free gift related to this video. And to watch my unfiltered reactions with exclusive bonuses, join my Asha Media TV Club. The link is in the description box below. Now, here's my afterthoughts of this episode of Supernatural.
Oh boy! Okay. You got me hooked. Darkness it is. So I guess this time around, no personification. We're just going to be dealing with maybe an influence, right? Because the way they described it, influencing Lucifer, and to the degree where they had to lock it up. Oh, the possibilities, people. You know how my head spins with this shit. But there's a lot to go from with this episode. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let me try to rein in here and then kind of save it for a little later. This episode is a game-changing episode for the whole series in terms of what they've established for character. Right at the beginning there, they showed the pictures of Dean and his mom, and then Dean and baby Sam and the family. That was kind of like a nice foreshadowing of Sam using the pictures to appeal to the heart of Dean. And I'm going to just presume, until being corrected, that was that defining moment, very similar to season 5, episode 22, right? Where he had the flashbacks where Sam had the flashbacks of his life to be able to penetrate past Lucifer's possession of him to then save Dean before he gave him that final blow. Oh, very reminiscent of that, but in its own way. I think they tried to attempt there with the pictures. So that was awesome, if I'm interpreting that correctly. And then let's move a little forward to, all I'll say with the case of the week and the buddy that he killed. And I'm doing this because essentially I don't see it as Dean causing that on Hunter's death, really, because he was more or less taunting the guy as if, like, really, you're gonna kill him, kind of thing. But it wasn't compelling enough for me to care too much about that part. I'll be honest with you. In fact, I would have been happy if they just didn't even bother with that. I know they're trying to show how far things have gotten with Dean, but we've seen enough how far things have gotten with Dean. I mean, that's the only gripe I have so far with this season, is that it's like they're beating a dead horse when it comes to that. And I could care less for that part of the story. It really doesn't do nothing for me. And I would have appreciated more scenes instead with Rowena and Crowley and Dean and Sam, honestly, rather than implicating this random hunter. I mean, if this was a hunter that they got me connected to as a viewer in previous episodes, and then this ensued, sure. Like, Werewolf Boy. Why am I forgetting his name? How could it be? This is crazy. Okay, but you know what I'm talking about. His name is there on the screen because I'm going to have to put it there. But if it was him and he brought him in the case and then we had his tragic death, although I probably would have lost my mind and lost my shit with that too. But if I understand to then make it where you're showing to what depths things have reached. Garth, right? Garth. But this hunter, I have no connection to, just met him, don't care for him. And maybe that's the point. They had to use a hunter that we wouldn't really be familiar with. Anyways, I don't care for that part of the story. And I guess that's the bottom line, and I'm just being long-winded here. Okay, now let's move on to me, the real meat of things, aside from Sam and Dean and death. And that's this whole thing with Rowena, finding her weakness. And it ended up being that Oscar kid. And I like how they slowly set that up with the initial scene of Crowley being in the diner, meeting him, getting a feel for him. Because it was very confusing, like, why was he there? And then, of course, they made it seem like he was just there to give deals. And I'm like, okay, fine. Then he's just collecting souls. But no. It ties in nicely to finding out that is her one weak spot. And I believe that she was willing to do what she had to do, like sacrifice him, not only because to get the codex, because at the end of the day, she wants power, right? But also, too, that is the last thing left on Earth for her to ever be blackmailed ever again. So the pros outweighed the con of sacrificing him. And I like how the way they've established this Rowena character through this wonderful actress, I'm able to understand that right off the bat. Well, I think I'm right on that. If I'm wrong, tell me. But I don't think I am. Because it all ends up perfectly for her at the end to have the last word and the last laugh. And now be possibly the most powerful person on this planet, aside from the influence of darkness, which then makes sense that perhaps it's going to be the beginning steps of her being the key to defeat darkness in season 11. And I'm wondering if that's why many of you who love Rowena and also at the same time claim you love season 11. So it does kind of raise up expectation for me a bit. And I'm just going to have to kind of ignore it because I don't want it to influence me trying to expect some great season. And I may not have that reaction. Some of you should know I don't react the way you think I'm going to, or even the way I think I'm going to, based on what I think I'm interpreting in the given moment. But it's exciting nonetheless to anticipate how powerful she's going to get, how Crowley and Castiel, well, if they survive each other, which I think they will, I don't know what's going to intervene in episode 1 of the 11th season, but I'll get to that soon enough. But yeah, that was really, really crazy stuff. And then we have the final act of Dean killing Death. Oh, Julian Richings. I'm so glad they brought him back, and the way they brought him back was always just so satisfying and juicy to watch. It's just so rewatchable with him, and how he bounces off with Dean in that moment with Sam. You stood me up. What else? Let me just scroll through more parts here. Darkness. I mean, just looking at this big fog of black mist. It's, you know what it reminds me of? Not to bring back terrible memories for some of you who hate season 7. But you know how we had the Leviathans infiltrate the water system and hence got bodies? I'm expecting something like this where it's going to influence people, and if it's darkness, right? The original evil that God had to lock up and that corrupted Lucifer, then this is going to be a character that's probably going to be epic to watch, and it has to be a good match for who I'm suspecting so far to be the most powerful person to take it on, and that would be Rowena. But if we're going to have our boys here as the main, heroes, that's going to be fascinating how they tackle this, and the personification, because they're going to have to, unless this is where they're no longer going to bother with the personification. I'm expecting either or. Okay, either we're going to personify darkness as some person, and I'm just thinking I could see it being another evil-like man that's very similar to what's his name, the Alpha, right? How the Alpha had that presence, and so I could see a menacing presence of that sort that the boys are going to have to work with. Yeah. Okay. What else? That's pretty much it, really. Now, although I do give this 5 Ashamojis, it's deserving of it. On a technical level, though, the editing of it could have been a lot smoother so that I could take in each scene. Like, for instance, when you have that reveal with Oscar and Rowena's like, better they go to black, so you give the pausing of it as for commercial, because it's the fade to black is for commercial purposes, right, for network TV, but better they have done that than to go chippy choppy between Rowena and then create this spiral of back and forth of emotion to try to catch up with Rowena and Crowley, then Sam and Dean, and it was a little tiny bit back and forth. That is just a tiny minor thing that for me just kind of ruined the experience for that part, for me to kind of get into. I mean, every viewer is different. And that's a style you'll see in a lot of TV shows anyway. So some people could just be very, like, they don't care. They're just like, whatever. But for me, it just was a little bit, tiny bit awkward. But like I said, 5 Ashamojis. It's an excellent episode. And I look forward to pressing play on episode 1 of the 11th season. So I'm going to leave the rest to you to share your favorite scene from this episode. And when I kind of wrap my head around each of the episodes as I do my ranking, because I will still do my ranking regardless, then I'll have more of a better feel to maybe add some extra commentary about the overall season. So, there you have it. That's my afterthoughts to episode 23 of the 10th season of Supernatural. If you want access to my full, uncut, unfiltered, with paused moments included reaction to this episode, join my club. Details is in the description box below for you, and you'll get also early access to my reactions to season 11. So until my next video upload, I'll see you then, everyone. Peace out.
Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe and check out my other videos.